Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below this video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by the Adam Meakin, Neil, 10th Man, who's trying to join while my intro's going on, Chocolate Saying, who did I miss? Brian's Logic, Neil, 10th Man, Chocolate, Adam, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. Welcome, one and all.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning.
Yo, good morning.
Hello. Good to hear
Afternoon. Can I say hello to Paula in chat, Nathan?
How are you?
Who's technically, you know how people turn up and say they're first? She's turned up and said she's the off, which is technically 3,959th, she's claiming. So, hi, Paula.
Okay. Isn't she given a radius value for a presupposed spherical Earth, 3959th?
Well, no, she was saying she's the 3,959th person here. So technically that's the Arth.
Arth, I gotcha. I thought I heard half. Arth, okay. Arth, chat member. Good to have you, Paula. Thank you for that. Any evidence the R value? For Earth radius, that is.
X Paula.
A beautiful sound coming from Neil.
Yeah, Paula is the evidence for the R value.
Is Neil always walking backwards?
That's his reversing sound, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he waits till he's reversing to come in. Every day.
I think Adam's trying to say you got a big
Wise
bum.
ass.
So no, any evidence the R value? Earth radius. Feel free to join in from Discord.
Black Swan.
Yeah, I have proof. Al Baruni. Is that working backwards enough for you?
Al Baruni? Al Baruni's measuring a dip angle to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon that he's going to derive an R value from. But we've debunked it with the Black Swan.
That's bullshit.
Alberino. Alberuni.
Technically, though, Neil, you're right. It is a mathematical backworking, Alberuni, so.
Yeah, it's interesting because if John was here, not quantum eraser, but refracted curvature, we'd be saying, oh, well, up until that point, I thought it was measured. Well, perfect timing, John. I was just talking about you saying, up until the point of the Black Swan, you were under the impression that it was measured. The R value was measured. But even the dip angle derivation is still not a measurement, is it?
No, there's an assumption that comes with it.
Yeah, it's a calculation.
Well, once you realize you're trying to measure an apparent location, I mean, how do they work that out? It's apparent. Which is blatantly obvious because now when we ask them how geometric it is, they tell us it's apparent. Why would you expect it to be geometric almost? It's like, what? Didn't you guys say for years that it was?
Geometric horizon's apparent by nature as well. The whole point was that it was apparent and geometric.
Okay, all horizons are apparent by definition. Apparent meaning you can see them. Yeah? So the moment you say, well, the geometric horizon isn't apparent, it's refracted, then it's no longer a horizon. Now, their horizon is the geometric horizon, as defined by National Geographic. So they have a geometric physical horizon that should be apparent, because all horizons are apparent, but they're telling us it's not apparent, therefore not a horizon, and only exists in the maths. So Earth curve, the geometric horizon, only exists in the maths.
What was the word? What was the word that they underlined for them? What was that again? Oh, visible.
Yeah, the geometric horizon is defined as the visible boundary between the sky and the land. Well, if it's visible, that means it's apparent, i.e. you can see it. That's the geometric horizon, as defined. But because we've debunked it and shown that it's beyond the limitations of a physical geometric sphere edge, they suddenly start telling us how it's not apparent and actually refracted.
Well, their refraction, their 7/6R, like that was like before Black Swan. That was being and afterwards, stupidly, that was being convoluted in all directions incorrectly, because the whole point of that was that regardless of how high you go, you will always appear to be looking across a flat plane to the geometric horizon. That was the point, that their 7/6R flattened out the world you see to the horizon, but the horizon was still actually Earth curve. The geometric horizon wasn't being refracted by 7/6R. The whole point was, if you are 100 feet high and you're looking out, you're seeing a big flat ocean to this horizon. But that's only because of the 7/6R, making it appear more flat than it really is. But the geometric horizon was still the geometric horizon. That didn't get refracted. No, that was the game. But they convoluted that in so many ways.
Right. What was a apparent physical obstruction at our horizon, called Earth curve and calculated in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, and had objects that were moved up or down in their position with respect to the horizon being refracted with 7/6 of a radius value. Now the horizon itself is also refracted with respect to itself. So paradoxically, you've got a value for refraction through atmosphere, that's atmospheric or terrestrial refraction, bending the light of the R-based horizon that is tangent point worthy in the maths to claim that you've got things beyond it and the drop value thereof. So that's not actually a physical point for things to drop away from you in. The calculator, at a rate that assumes you've got no perspective, yeah, it all falls to pieces, and it's just crumbled to dust now, as far as I'm concerned. The claim of Earth curvature at the horizon by way of calculations of drop, etc. It's just so dead.
Yeah, I was saying yesterday on the show, and the show just ended before I got to finish it, and I was like, no, don't finish, Nathan, because what I was saying is that ever since the Black Swan came out, what's happened is, especially since that came out, but prior even to that, but especially since that came out, is you have people who are ballers, who are shown truth, and they either go, well, that's interesting, and they accept that they can't get past it, like John, and just accept it's not a ball, or they become an anti-flat earther, and the truth puts them at a crossroads. So they either take the left path to it's not a ball, or the right path to I'm going to attack anyone that says it's not a ball, even though it's obvious and all the proof is there that it's not.
That's that fork in the road.
Yeah, anti-flat Earth. Yeah. After you've rolled down the hill, you're left with a path to walk one that skirts that hill you've just fallen down. That'd be your anti-flat Earth path. The other branches into the flat plane that you dwell atop.
Would that be them knowing something they don't want to believe?
Yes.
Yeah.
That comes to this quote quite nicely then. This is from Tony, Sleeping Warrior. So he's been dealing with Ruith and he's put it in Warring today, but I think it addresses the point. So Tony's asked, Earth is as big as the sun. if we have a 15-mile horizon when adjusting for refraction in your predictive model. So he's asking what rate light is curving at to explain the black swan. I think Ruif comes back with, in the black swan, if the horizon is at eye level and basically just fades off into the distance, then the radius is infinite. And I know that short circuits your tiny little brain, but keep in mind that I'm talking to someone who needs a triangle calculator to work out. So just cheap add-on to support his outrageous assertion that on days when it's clear, the radius becomes infinite. That, to me, is the response of an anti-flat earther.
Wait. Is this
Well,
the
his words
same
don't mean
moron who
anything.
said that words, the definitions of words are meaningless?
That's correct. From the man who gave us the words of are meaningless, definitions of words have no meaning, to paraphrase. Yeah, this is from him.
What an idiot.
Also,
No,
we
that
have
means
infinite over 6 terrestrial refraction, all that, and then now we have infinite radius.
Well, we've got
Really?
what is it to be infinite, Adam? Is this something we can experience in our reality? An
Yeah, we do,
infinite
because
amount of something?
Yeah, it's called flat. Yeah, and the mathematical effect of what he's describing is he's trying to describe a radius value to keep it as a ball, but the net effect of the infinite radius in terms of what you observe is it's observed and experienced flat. That's why you have to turn your R into an infinite, so it no longer bends.
Or he could be secretly hinting at a spatial loop.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. No, he probably didn't. If he did, he doesn't realize it.
He's basically trying to describe something that's flat as a ridiculously infinitely large ball, is what he's saying. So the radius value becomes infinite, therefore what you observe is flat.
I would just ask him, do any of those words you just said have any meaning?
No, they don't.
Not
By his
according to
own
him.
words.
There you go. So why are we listening to him?
To be fair, if you listen to what he did say, it doesn't have any real meaning in reality either, but it does in his little flat earth denying world. He has to.
What I was driving at, Adam, was is infinite something that you can experience?
Oh no.
Again?
A mathematical concept, isn't it?
So what you're saying is to get around this non-physical capability of the sphere based on the black swan, his description to get around it in physicality is to introduce yet another abstract mathematical idea and place that into our reality. Oh, I see. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. So this can only exist in the maths then? Even his get around only exists in maths.
Yep.
An infinitely flat ball. Is that what he's saying?
An infinite sized radius of the ball, yeah, which means it's flat, doesn't it? Because if your radius is infinity, then you'll get no drop.
But is that an extrapolation of infinite over 6R? Or was it greater than infinite over 6? Like, what did he say? Like, is
Originally,
this guy a clown?
yes.
Wait, but
For
doesn't
real?
everything?
Hold on. In the past, yes, chocolate. He's described it as infinite over a 6. In this instance, you're saying R. So you've got the original R value.
Huh, okay. Just put it in an equation with infinite numbers. Yeah, that works.
But if the radius is infinite, doesn't everything get messed up? Like in their solar system?
You see, the thing is, Neil, that the claim of a sphere Earth doesn't come with an infinite radius value. It comes with a 3959 radius value and is supposed to be a rock that blocks your view. And what he's saying is, no matter how much it doesn't do that, I'll say it's just an infinite radius. Right, so what happened to the claim that we're on a sphere, radius 3959, and we'll have our view blocked by its physicality at the horizon that you think is Earth curve? Oh, it's not doing that, so actually infinite refraction. Yeah, you've descended into complete absurdity. Globe believers, ex-globe believers, now turned anti-flat earthers. It's just absurd.
Right, isn't it like a mathematical contradiction to assume an infinite radius? Because then it couldn't be a radius because it's
Right.
infinite.
Yeah, it's got no value. So how big's the sphere? Well, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like, what are you talking about? It's
Forever.
nonsense.
Right?
That's
Infinite
right, Arwen
means
has
forever.
Arwen, that's right. The Arwinian, another Arwinian paradox. There is no defined size, so you can't have a sphere.
To tie
Well,
this
if it's
in,
infinite, then it's not a sphere. A radius cannot be infinite. A radius is bound to a finite size, or it's not going to be a radius.
Precisely.
That's what I'm thinking.
If you look up radius in Google, it just says yes. It doesn't even say a number, it's just yes. What the hell's wrong with these guys, man?
I like it, Chocolate. What's the radius, Google? Hey Siri, what's the radius of Earth? Yes.
The radius of Earth.
Check it out. Both series set off at the same time.
I mean, these people are it gets even more ridiculous. But I'll talk about that when you guys are done talking about this.
Oh, no, you feel free.
With his quote, then, if I can. I'll put the other one on screen. So that's just Tony coming back saying, as I've just said, an infinite horizon, huh? Wouldn't that be just another way of saying flat? It would appear flat, yes. I'll leave the rest of the quote there.
So even when things appear flat, an anti-flatter will assume, oh, no problem, infinite radius. Like, what? Yeah. Forever sphere. Yeah. We know, anti-flat earthers, we know. See how keen my phone and iPad were to tell me the radius of Earth.
So I was in Brandon's yesterday, and as soon as I started talking about the sextant, they're like, "Don't you even mention 90 degrees?" And I'm like, what's wrong with 90 degrees? They're like, the sextant has nothing to do with 90 degrees. That's a lie 10th man made up.
What?
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That's what they said.
Let me get this straight. We give several really concise descriptions with cited sources describing triangulation with its 90 degrees, and they're telling you, don't mention 90 degrees? Are you having me on?
Yeah, the 10th man made up the sextant.
I swear to
made it up.
goodness, there's multiple witnesses. I don't know if Don
really?
was in the chat, but he was there. Kocho was there. I'm not saying he was the one, but there was a dude who was claiming that he actually sails the world, and he uses a sextant, and it has nothing to do with 90 degrees. And all of the ballers was like, he would know. Have you ever used a sextant?
Is
Did he,
that,
hold on.
is-
Okay,
is-
before you, hold on. I don't need to know what the peanut gallery said. Did he actually give you a practical demonstration or a pictorial demonstration of how he uses it without 90 degrees?
Of course not. In fact, 10th Man, because they said, were you watching 10th Man videos? I was like, no, but I do have this video where a guy takes you through a crash course and he basically demonstrates how you use it. And what he did send, or someone sent in the chat, was a picture of like a illustration of someone using a sextant, and they have every line other than the one that goes from the zenith to the GP, and that's the line that was gone.
So let me get it straight. They're just drawing it out without the 90 degree line straight down from the star GP at the bottom below it, because that would also require a 90 degree from their position to meet it, and they don't want to talk about the 90 degrees. Yeah, we understand that. It's a bit like you not wanting to talk about R. Yeah? Because you haven't got it anymore? But in this instance, you don't want to talk about the fact that you're going to draw a straight line to the GP of the star, and that line's going to meet it for triangulation at 90 degrees. You don't want us to talk about that. Yet that's the numpty patrol letting out their worst fears. How very telling. I bet everyone around them was thinking, shut up, don't tell them how we don't want to talk about 90 degrees, because it's all they'll ever talk about from now on.
The guy...
Yeah, this man just made that up.
I have a good one for you. The guy that was in attacking Tent Man, this fella Level Guy is his handle on YouTube. He came to my comments. Now, he had been in my comments before he came in attacking Tent, some days beforehand at the last video I did, but he came back to my comments as I expected he would. And he started trying to tell me the 10th man was only leading me astray. Basically, the evil 10th man was leading me astray and putting me wrong.
Wow.
I got a question about this.
Man got a target on his back, huh? Something he said apparently has rattled you guys. That's hilarious.
It's
working. It's working. That's how you know.
Guys, Chocolate, Elijah. Well, guys, I can't hear either of you. You're talking straight through each other.
Sorry.
John was up to say something.
Sorry. It kind of has the most effect when you're talking at the same time, when you're hyping your mans up. This is true.
When I use triangles from now on, can I cite 10th man instead of Pythagoras?
Yes, it's actually 10th man's triangulation.
That's the
Yes, he was the one that made it up. Just like John Quantum Eraser made up the scientific method.
Exactly.
And Nathan made up begging the question.
Made up begging the question. Yep.
Yeah, I made up begging the question. Quantum Eraser made up the scientific method, and 10th man invented 90-degree triangles.
The Tentherian theorem. Are we going to have then?
I don't forget,
go to Master.
made up horizontal as levels.
Go to Master B. I have Level Guys.
You broke up there, 10th. Can you say that again? I heard go to 10th. Okay, I'm in Master B, and I'll start with. Wow, this is a long string of stuff. Did you want me to start with the globe depiction with observer on it? I think we've lost 10th man.
No. Geometry for navigation. Up one.
Hey, before you go, 10th, can I say one thing real quick?
Neil. Geometry for navigation. I've just got a string of comments and then a load of black and white pictures.
Yeah, don't worry about the black and white. Those are last. Just go up to the first part of where it says geometry for navigation.
No idea what this is. It's all comments.
I know. Just go up. Keep going up. That's that guy's comments. Level Guy. Just
at the top of the comments, there's a little picture called with geometry for navigation on it, Nathan.
Okay, right at the top. Okay, my bad. So they're all part of the same thing. Bloody hell, there's a lot of it.
Yep. All right, here we go. Geometry for navigation. The principles used in navigation, both on sea, land, and in outer space. We look at trilateration and triangulation. Next slide. This was your show the other day that Brian was talking about. And Level Guy says at the bottom, to science works in mysterious ways. No, it is not triangulation. The distance to the star or sun or even the horizon is irrelevant. Only the angle matters. They are just talking complete BS. Next slide from the same show. Level Guy, no triangulation needed. Next slide from encyclopedia.com. By manipulating the parts, a user can measure the angular distance between two celestial bodies, usually Earth and either the sun or moon. The observer can thereby calculate his or her position of latitude by using a trigonometric operation known as triangulation. The word sextant derives from a Latin term for 1/6 of a circle or 60 degrees. This term is applied generally to the variety of instruments today, regardless of the spans of their arcs. Next slide. we'll just go here by manipulating the middle there. By manipulating the parts, a user can measure to an angular distance between two celestial bodies, usually the Earth, either the Sun or Moon. The observer can thereby calculate his position of latitude by using a trigonometric, I can't even say that word, operation known as triangulation. So same thing. And then we go back to Level Guy saying some more stuff on the show. Nobody here has ever held a sextant in their hand, ever. All this is pure BS. And this sleeping warrior at the bottom goes, Level Guy, get in there and put these flat earthers in their place. Go on, lad. Now, the next slide is the black and white. This is some screenshots of the Navy showing how sextant works. So here's the GP shown on a sphere. And then the next slide, they actually demonstrate with a guy doing the GP on a field where that pole is the zenith position of the sun, and the GP is where the base of the pole is in the middle of that circle. And then he's showing how you need that baseline to be straight, and then how he triangulates where he is in relationship to the GP of the sun, based on this little illustration. And if you go to the next picture, he moves around, and anywhere on that circle, it's the same distance. But notice the baseline has to be straight. And then the next one shows him extending, and he's beyond the circle, which means he's further out, but the still triangulation has to take place. So it's a bigger circle now. And then I'll finish on the last two. So here, as you can see, a flat circle, but they put it on the globe, which is false. And then there's the star, and there's everything except that GP zenith position, right? They're not showing it. And then here in this last one, you can see when you have two circles of equal altitudes and this triangulation. This is so comical at this point because they have to.
Lost your 10th.
We lost your 10th.
He's right at the end of his slide, so just while we figure out where 10th man's gone. So in this depiction, on the second to last slide, guys, if you're following along in Skype, we've got a straight line from the position that's being utilised for triangulation, where it's got this 62.33, and the line that you would measure with your sextant to the star. Now, the line out from your position is going to be drawn and acquired by the horizon. So from this position, you measure to your horizon, then you get your angle, then you use your sextant to line the two up, and then you look at the reading on the sextant to give you the angle, this angle, right? Well, from the position that you're triangulating to this position has another line which gives you the GP and the third line of the triangle for the triangulation. So, if this position here for the GP of this star is as depicted at the top of the sphere, then this position would have curved away from the GP of that star based on this curve that's showing it on a sphere. Well, if this position has curved away, you haven't got 90 degrees to acquire to the GP of the star anymore. So, even though they've drawn it on a sphere, this circle is still depicted as flat. This entire area for this to work must be flat. Why? Well, because you're going to be acquiring 90 degrees from your position, regardless of the tens of thousands of square miles that might be within this area or within this circle. This is all an area of equal elevation, flat, for this to work. We got 10th man back.
Yeah, I don't know where I cut off. I was going on, then I realized I was off.
That's okay. We got to your last slide, and you said here's showing it triangulating on it, albeit on a sphere incorrectly, but these two areas where they've got the crossing over for the, you need one more for a full fix, but do you want to take it from here on the last slide?
No, I mean, I heard your overview right at the end. You pretty much covered it. Look, they're fooling the ballers. Here's a guy that actually has a sextant. He uses a sextant. I don't deny that he's used that, but he's under the impression he's using it on the ball. And then when given the facts that it could only work with a baseline that's straight and flat to the GP of where the sun is, which could be 3,000 miles away, and that's just to the GP, but someone on the other side of the circle is 3,000 miles away. So that's 6,000 miles of flat. How does he justify that on the globe when they show pictures of it on the globe with the circle of equal altitude put on top of a globe? It doesn't work. I mean, his brain's not working, and yet the sextant is working. The sextant is working. It tells him where he is in relationship to the GP of whatever star he's shooting, and that's triangulating his position to the GP of the star. And he needs a 90 degree from there. But he himself is a GP. He has a fixed position on the Earth as well. And his zenith is directly like a plumb line above him. So you need straight lines to get angles. It's simple.
Shout out to Godzilla37 who says 9 out of 10 men agree. A right angle is not 90 degrees. Yeah, that's just marketing BS, I'm afraid, Godzilla. But thank you for the super chat.
That sounds like consensus mathematics.
Could you go to the 10-second last slide a second, Nathan? I just want to point something out there.
Well,
if you don't mind before
you can, but there's several more slides arrive. Do you mean the one with the black and white two circles
they're from
intersecting?
Eli. They're from Eli.
Sorry,
just for a second.
Brian.
Yeah?
Do you mean the last slide with the black and white picture with two circles intersecting?
No, the second last one, the one with the circle, with just the one circle on top of the globe.
Okay, I'm there. It's presented.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to point out one thing about this. They laid a circle onto a globe, on top of a globe, but they didn't put it onto it. Because if they put that circle of equal altitude onto their sphere, you won't be able to see the other side of the circle. You see the little trick they did?
That's correct.
They didn't put it onto.
Yes, when it was depicted by one of our opponents, he literally did exactly the same thing and dropped in three-dimensional graphics programming a circle onto the sphere. The problem being that the back half of the circle, is blocked by this bulge between you and it. Yeah, so in other words, you can't see the back half of this circle that's drawn on screen if it's dropped on top of a sphere. Why? Well, because there's a geometric physical sphere edge horizon blocking the way, right? This line that I'm drawing my mouse over now would be a bulge blocking your view of the back of this area of equal altitude, stopping you drawing your straight, flat, 90-degree capable lines from any point on the circle, as depicted here, with the guy moving around the circle. You know, it doesn't matter where he does it on the circle. It's all the same with all 90 degrees capable from any point, because there's no bulge between him and it. This area that he's drawing out isn't falling away from him, otherwise he wouldn't be able to get the straight line. And likewise, if he was triangulating something that was much further away, it would give him a much bigger circle. But the line beyond his horizon, if he's doing it with a sextant, is going to be potentially way beyond where he's got his original 90 degree with the horizon, meaning that the circle, getting ever bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, is always depicting an area of equal altitude from any position around this circle. Now, if you transpose that onto a sphere, suddenly you've got an enormous flat area, and at any point you could do like this guy is doing. Draw a line from your position to the GP of the star. And if it's a sphere, that suddenly isn't capable because you've got a bulge between you and the GP of the star. Now, that isn't how they do it either. They consider it flat, do it flat, acquire a 90 degrees, and it works every time. Why? Because there isn't any curvature. Just that simple. Sorry, Brian.
No, that you nailed it, Aidan. This depiction in 10-second last slide, technically, because they put it onto a sphere, that should be a curved radius line they have there, which is an impossibility. You know, but that should be a curved radius line. How come they have a straight radius line on a curved surface? Can't have that.
Yeah, they've chopped off the bottom of the top of the sphere, and then you're left with what you could describe as a chord. Well,
they've tilted the circle towards the observer to take away the effect of the bulge that should be, or the arc of sphere that should be within the circle, haven't they? It's a magic trick.
Yeah, a magic trick in pictorial terms only, because in terms of how it's actually done on a flat surface. Regardless of how they draw it out in these diagrams, or the bullshit explanations they give you when they say, oh, well, you could still do it to the centre of a sphere. It's like, yeah, but they don't.
Just clip on 2 pictures, Nathan. I'll just put that other one back in again that shows the real triangulation that tends done with the 3 triangles, and how the perverted surface stops you having the other way.
The other way?
Yeah, in terms of the last picture in Master B, I've just posted it after 10th.
It's the one with the bent, the one with the triangulation on a radiator?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it up.
Yeah, oh, sorry. So it's just that's showing you the perversion in the mathematics and what they're. If it was on a ball, they're still saying we don't measure it on a ball, we measure it flat, but it works. But the reality is, the R that Brian was talking about, that supposed straight line that's from the GP below the star to the observer, that has to be bent at the rate of 8 inches per mile over the distance. So it can never, if you're placing this on a ball, be a straight line. Therefore, you can never use trigonometry for it.
Yeah, your depiction's great, other than you've kept on this left-hand picture, you know, the triangulation diorama left to melt on a radiator. You've still got the 90 degree. It's most obvious on S1, so I'll just stick to that. But you're showing this, for those who are unaware, this is pretty rudimentary stuff, but if you've got a squared off box in any angle representation, it's saying this is 90 degrees. But I know you couldn't go to this extent, Adam, but this isn't 90 degrees anymore, is it? From this position to here is no longer giving you 90 degrees.
To give apologetics for a picture, yeah, it was a lot of fiddling. What you'd actually have to do, if you look at S1 on the left-hand side, where the right-angled triangle is, you'll see that to keep the triangle at 90 degrees, what's happened is it's had to have bent it, because all I've done is walk the picture. But to actually realign that correctly, you would take it from the base of the GP up to S1 and draw a straight line, and you would see that suddenly the line does become obtuse. It becomes more than 90 degrees. Yes, it's no longer. So you can therefore no longer apply your trick to it, because that's the premise that you're working with a right angle triangle. So that's the kind of the point I'm making, that as soon as you warp that image over the radiator, over the ball earth, then actually it opens up the angles, and it's no longer a triangle. It's 1 point in the sky and 2 points on a sphere. So it will never have 180s in there, because it is no longer technically a triangle. It's 2 points on a sphere and 1 up in the air. It is not a triangle, and therefore the trigonometric rules to calculate no longer apply.
Trigonometric, just for 10th man. Trigonometric.
I have a question when I can.
Yeah, feel free. Adam, did you have anything else you wanted to go on with, or?
No, it was just to, like I say, agree with you and try to, like I say, it's not the greatest visuals, but hopefully if you can use your imagination and just fill it in, you can see what happens, how placing it on a ball perverts it and makes it unusable.
I think that's it. If you want to go ahead, whoever it was it Eric?
Yeah, that was me. So I would like, could you guys just refresh me on the trigonometry aspect of it? So the angle, you can get the angle from your point of view to the star. So like in that example, it was 62 degrees. Then the zenith to the star is 90 degrees, right? So I can't remember my math. I just want to remember it right now. So you have 2 angles, and because one is 90, you can calculate one side of the triangle, right? So is that the side that you're calculating is the bottom line? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's Pythagorean theorem. You don't do the calculation yourself. It's all in tables. But Yeah, it's basically Pythagorean theorem, isn't it? A squared equals to b plus c squared.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So you are
You're not
calculating
using laws of sines or cosines to derive the tables. And 10th may correct me here, but as far as I'm aware, you're using trigonometry to derive the functions for the tables. Yeah, otherwise it'd be a lot more complicated. Like say, you would no longer be doing triangular trig. You'd be doing three-dimensional curved geometry, wouldn't you? And that's not how the tables derived. They're derived
with squares.
Yeah.
I mean, just for you, Eric, when you were in high school and you were sitting there bored out of your mind, like I was, listening to the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides, and this is going in while you're dreaming off in doze land. You never thought once, or did you ever think once, wow, at some point in my lifetime, this will be so critical as understanding the nature of reality will depend on it. Did you ever dream that would be the case, Eric?
No, actually, I hated school, and now like I've learned more than I ever have since I've been out, and I'm always like I know the scientific method now, and I know like trigonometry, like I know way more than I did now, and I'm a lot happier about it. So, thanks for everything I'm learning here. I have another question about this. So, if you are doing the trigonometry, but you're using the sun, right? Like you can know where the sun's position is over the Earth. Like so, when the sun's zenith is directly overhead, like in another country, like it's noon, right? Like high noon. So say it's in like high noon in Jamaica, and you're in Canada, and you're sighting the sun. Like that's thousands and thousands of miles. So it's so far away. Like it has to be flat still, right?
Yeah, if you're both triangulating it, I mean, I don't think that's capable in terms of those distances for the two people at the same time. But what you're saying is, if you're doing triangulation and you're doing it over a vast distance, obviously you'd be waiting a very long time if you were doing it with the sun. But rather than using your sun example, if you don't mind, I just change that to a star that you know the location of, rather than the sun, because then you can do it all at once, rather than waiting for the sun. Well, when you're doing that, potentially the circles that you're drawing out beneath the GP of each of those stars are thousands of miles of flat area, and must be flat for it to work.
Can I just give an example?
By all means.
Yeah. If you use the sextant and you get an angle to whatever celestial body you choose, that's 64 degrees above the horizon, then that leaves you at 26 degrees out of 90, right? So you then multiply that 26 degrees. Okay, they multiply it by nautical miles. I multiplied it by statute miles. So you multiply that 26 by 69, as in 69 statute miles per degree. And that would mean that at 64 degrees above, an angle to a celestial body that's 64 degrees above the horizon will give that, the GP, would make the GP of that celestial body 1,794 statute miles away from you. And that's straight line distance. So the problem is, that's a straight line, not in one direction. That's a straight line distance, radius in all directions from the GP of that. So the observer in an exact circle, right, using that radius all the way around that the GP of that celestial body would be 1,794 statute miles from that celestial body, the GP of that celestial body. So that means that no matter what way they twist and turn it, that is a straight line measurement. It is not a measurement that takes in a curve or distance over a curve. It's only straight. And that they are what they use. That is the exact thing they would use. They wouldn't change that. That would be okay. It's 1,794 miles, statute miles to the GP of that star. That means my circle of equal altitude will have a diameter of 3,588 miles. So they know the diameter of, so that means they have to pre-assume that there's 3,588 miles of straight flat straight flat in a one direct line from where they are. So you can't translate that over onto a ball. Can't do that. Can't just put that onto the ball. Nobody does that anyway, because they work with that exact. They don't change it from 3,588. That's exactly what they work with. One straight line measurement. They don't work with anything other than that. So anyone trying to change that will be changing the angles to the stars if they're trying to put it onto a globe, and they'll be completely screwing up all the coordinates and placements. It won't work. It doesn't work, and it works as it is. There's no way out for this, for them with this.
Agreed.
You guys want to read what this guy sent to me, courtesy of Professor Phil?
Sure. Is it the first screenshot that's after the 10th man's black and white pictures?
Yes.
I've got it up. Go ahead.
So basically, this was sent to pretty much say that the sextant has nothing to do with a 90-degree angle whatsoever, and that 10th man is a liar, right? So, number one, you look through the scope and line up the horizon with the center of the scope on the left side. Number two, you move the upper mirror until you align the alongside the horizon. 3, use the vernier to make fine alignment. This is kind of a messed up slide because my sound bar is in the way. Just actually, if you guys could give me a second, I'll just go back to the.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. Just carry on.
Carry on. Okay. So, number 4, you read the angle between the top mirror and the scope on the scale. This is your latitude. The only lines of sight you are interested in are your direct line of observation to the horizon from the scope and the direct line of sight to the star. Next, you travel to your location and repeat the measurement. The difference shows you change in latitude. Every degree is 60 nautical miles. There is no right angle to be concerned about. Under the star has nothing to do with the sextant. Professor Phil, I guess.
Waiting for 10th man to comment.
Can I just
got back.
Sextant, 10th? Just to show that we do have a sextant. We do know what a sextant is. Not just so for ballers. There you go. Sextant. Yeah, we know how they work.
Sorry, am I supposed to be showing your screen in?
Well, I'll just show it. Well, you can do. I mean, there's a sextant. We know how it works.
No, hold on. Everyone, calm down. I don't know how to get you. There we go. Got you.
Just to show. Sextant.
It's CGI.
It's CGI. It's not. I've just dropped it. I broke it. Get it out. But the point is, we do know how a sextant works. We've used it to confirm it. Just do research these things, and that explanation there shows a complete lack of understanding of the point of measuring the angle with the sextant. Yeah, it requires you to set up your straight baseline to generate your 90 degrees. That is the whole purpose of it. As we outlined earlier, somebody in Discord, it's using trigonometry. You may not be measuring the 90 degree, but you're setting it up with your level. That's the purpose of it. So you set it up so your sextant's level. That generates your 90 degree for you to then have your measurement you're going to take of the star. So,
can you hold up the sextant again with you a bit lower for my thumbnail? That's beautiful.
He wants to see the sextant, Adam, and not you.
No, I want to see Adam's. I want to see Adam smiling. No, I do want to see. There you go. That's the one. There we go. That's the money shot. Perfect. Thank you, Adam.
Okay, guys.
And 10th man is not a liar. Okay.
Well, he is leading us
astray, it, Neil, because I heard that comment as 10 said it, and that was actually the premise with the disproof.
Hey, I just got back. I don't know what happened. The internet's in and out, but I missed pretty much the whole show. I just got back, so
Oh no!
I'll have to watch it again. But basically, I get the gist of it.
Eli, if Eli reads out what Professor Phil wrote again, what was sent to you, Eli, from that is from Professor Phil. That is what he says. Would you read that to Tent again, if that's okay with Nathan?
Is it under? Starts at the top, #general. Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's on screen again if you want to go through it again.
That's a man to be. You want to read it?
You guys are coming in and out like crazy. My internet's bad today, but the gist of it I'm getting without even reading it. But if Professor Phil wants to go on record of saying how sextant works, I'm very happy about that, because everything that I got came from the current globe view of how sextant works. There's no flat Earth sextant YouTube channel. There's no flat Earth sextant nautical almanac. There's no flat Earth sextant GP to a star. These are all things that anyone could just go on YouTube or just the internet search to see how sextant works. There are navigators with YouTube channels that I've contacted. I've talked to them. Just go compare what everything out there is about a sextant, then compare it to Professor Phil or Kosho or whoever wants to jump in the fray here. It's the best. This is the trap I wanted to lay, because the minute they come on, they have the same sources as I do. That's why I use their language, their citations, everything. What it shows is that they have been hoodwinked to think you can get an angle with a curved bottom baseline. And an angle cannot be achieved with a curved bottom baseline. And that is the argument. You have been hoodwinked, because the sextant does work, because it works on a flat plane.
10th man Machiavelli them.
What Professor Phil wrote is absolutely. Can I read it out again, Nathan? That be okay?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. How to use a sextant, courtesy of Professor Phil Bell. 1. You look through the scope and look at the horizon with the center of the scope on the left side. 2. You move the upper mirror until you align the sextant alongside the horizon. Or scope, I think, along the horizon. I can't see that part. 3. Use the vernier to make fine alignment. 4. You read the angle between the top mirror and the scope on the scale. This is your latitude, the only line of sight you are interested in, and your direct line of observation, direct line of sight, direct line of observation to the horizon from the scope, and the direct line of sight to the star. That's 2 lines of sight, to the horizon and to the star, direct line. Next, you travel to your next location and repeat the measurement. The difference shows well, he probably meant to say your change in latitude. Every degree is 60 nautical miles. There is no right angle to be concerned about. Under the star has nothing to do with a sextant. Now, he just shot himself in the foot several times before he got to his culmination at the end. He's using straight line of sight to the horizon, a straight line of sight to the star. He didn't mention anything about horizon dip correction, right? The first thing you have to do. And he's trying to claim angles have nothing to do with it. What's a straight line to one thing and a straight line to another thing from the same source? It's an angle. So he's laying out how you create your angle, right, before he says you don't use angles. And then he's talking about latitude. How would you know what latitude you're at? How do you find your location? The whole point of the sextant is you triangulate your location. How do you know just pointing the sextant at a star and at the horizon and do no horizon dip correction is not going to tell you anything. You have to. How do you know what latitude you're at? It's complete and utter BS. And under the star has nothing to do with a sextant. I mean, this is who we're dealing with. Absolute jokers. I mean, is this guy for real?
Well, the next step is they're going to say we made up geometry. So,
Well, that's that. Look at the next. Remember when I said there was an illustration of someone using the sextant, and they just straight up erased the the line that goes from the zenith down to the earth, and the dude says, "Where's the mythical 90 degrees?" I mean, that's where we're at, man.
But
Wait, are you saying it was there and then they took it off? I'm not actually looking at the picture. Should I go look at it?
Well, no, I think
No,
that's bad.
Well, actually showing it.
He found one. He found a depiction of how a sextant is used, where they don't use they just don't put the right angle on there. They don't put the straight line from the horizon.
Right.
They are showing the angle. They are showing the angle. The blue line is light from the horizon, and the purple line is light from sun, star, or moon. And they're showing the curved line in between them is that's showing the angle. If you carry on that purple line to meet the blue line in a straight line, and obviously if you do horizon dip correction, that's your angle. They're showing their angle right there. You could just get out any Microsoft Paint or any of these kind of things, and you just add in that line and add in horizon dip correction. There's your angle. That's your angle.
It's very. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you look up zenith distance, just look up zenith distance. The whole concept is that the star is directly above Earth somewhere. If they want to go this way, I'm excited, because the whole nautical almanac is telling you where the zenith is of that star at any place on the Earth at a given hour, minute, second. That's what you take the readings from the sextant once you get your angle measurements in degrees and minutes, and go to the book right away. That's why I said write it down quick. Don't wait. And then you'll find out where that star is directly over the Earth with its GP, ground position. Now, to have a ground position, it's got to be directly overhead. That is your plumb line. That is your zenith. You're not there. You're over here somewhere. You want to know how far that is. So when you shoot it and it gives you the reading, and you go to the nautical almanac where it's already listed where it is at that time and date. That's why you need the chronometer, and you need to go to the Greenwich time and all that, so that you can specify exactly where over the Earth that star is, like a plumb line, a vertical. That's the GP. That's one of the two lines you need for 90. Then your baseline is you to that GP over the surface of the ocean. That baseline has to be straight and flat, horizontal. That's why it's always shown with the box, the 90 degree. Now, all you're trying to figure out is the hypotenuse, which is what gives you your triangulation of where you are in that circle of equal altitude. These guys are throwing the nautical almanac away, the GP of every star away, if they're going to deny a vertical position over a spot on the Earth called the GP. They're absolutely insane.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!